The defense attorney sends me an email saying, please let the doctor out of this case. There's no liability against this doctor. And now I have a conversation with you and I tell you this doctor now wants to get out of this case. You turn around and say, absolutely not. This doctor did X, Y, and Z. There is no way I'll agree to let this doctor out of the case. What happens then? You want to know what happens then? Come join me on this walk on this deserted island here in St. Martin while my wife is picking seashells. You can probably see her in the background. There she is, all the way in the background, picking shells. And there's nothing here on this entire little island in St. Martin. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. Okay, so here's the scenario. You sued various doctors claiming that they were careless, causing you significant harm and injury. Now, they all turn around and say, hey, we did nothing wrong. During the course of the lawsuit, I now get an email from one of the defense attorneys. And the email says, hey, Gerry, do me a favor. Let this doctor out of the case. Let my people go. Let this doctor out of the case. He did nothing wrong here. And even if he did, nothing he did caused or contributed to your client's injuries. Now, what do I do in that instance? Well, do I simply say, okay, fine, goodbye, have a nice day, simply because he requested to be let out of the case? Once the defense attorney calls me and says, listen, my client doesn't belong in this case, will you please let them out? Now I have to do a number of things. I have to confirm with my medical expert whether or not this doctor's involvement really is limited or he has no liability. And how do I do that? I take the transcript of his pretrial question and answer session known as a deposition, and now I will send it over to my expert to review. I want to confirm whether or not this doctor truly has liability. I want to make sure that I'm not letting this doctor out prematurely, or I'm not letting this doctor out if he really has liability in this case and caused and contributed to my client's injuries. So I have to actually verify whether or not what this attorney is saying is correct. So now in the title of this video, it's a little bit different. Now let's say I have confirmed that this doctor does not belong in this case. Now I call you, the injured patient. I say, hey, listen, the defense attorney has asked to let his client out of this case, this doctor, one of them whom you have sued. And you turn around and say, absolutely not. This doctor did X, Y, and Z, and there is no way I'm going to voluntarily agree to let this doctor out of the case. What do I do in that instance? You want to know what I do? I have to have a detailed conversation with you, the injured patient, explaining, number one, why the defense believes they are not liable, explaining why they want to get out of this case, what it will mean if the doctor stays in this case. Now, let's say you are adamant and you refuse to go ahead and listen to my legal advice. I say, listen, we have confirmation from our expert who now believes that this doctor has no responsibility, no liability for causing your injuries. There is no possible way, no viable way that we can keep him in this case, and you still refuse. And now, here's what I have to tell you. I say, here's what's going to happen then. If I go back to the defense attorney and say, listen, I cannot let your client out of the case at this point, and I give him some various reasons why. I don't tell him it's because my client is adamant and refuses to release him from this case. So you know what he's going to do? He's now going to ask the judge to formally throw your entire case out. Now, how does he do that? His attorney is going to make a request to the judge on papers. It's called a motion. A motion is nothing more than a formal request asking the judge to take action and do something. So now he's going to make a motion. So what's he going to ask for? Judge, I want you to throw this case out and give them absolutely nothing. That's called a motion for summary judgment. It's basically having a trial that's now short circuits a real trial, but it's a trial on papers. The defense attorney now will go ahead and detail and itemize everything that happened during the course of your medical care and treatment. And now he's going to have medical experts submitting written proof to explain to the judge why they believe that they shouldn't be in this case. Now, once we get those papers, it is our obligation, our opportunity to then reply to those papers. Imagine if we have nothing to reply to, meaning if our expert does not support the claim that we originally had now, that says, hey, this doctor or one of them is liable and should be in this case. If we can't get our expert to confirm that this doctor belongs in this case, guess what? You know what the judge is going to do? He's going to say, I don't need to evaluate all these papers. If Oginski's client can't put on medical expert testimony in the form of written papers confirming that he's reviewed the records, he's reviewed the defense's arguments, and now he has no defense whatsoever? I don't need to read these papers. Your motion is granted, meaning now this doctor is out of the case. So why do I share this information with you? I share it with you just to give you a sense of what happens in these medical malpractice cases in New York. You know, I realize you're likely watching this video because you're wondering where I'm shooting video today. Well, now you see I'm shooting it on a deserted island while my wife is picking seashells. You know, I realize you likely have questions or concerns about your own matter. Well, if your matter did happen in New York and you have not yet started a lawsuit and still have questions that need to be answered, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. You know, I answer questions like yours every single day, and I'd love to talk to you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at Oginski-law.com. That's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a fantastic day.